If you're feeling bogged down by the impossible expectations or the noise of new year, new me, take a second to pause. Grow Therapy gives you space to slow down, check in, and start the new year from a more grounded place. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Emotionally unavailable.
Well, welcome back. I'm so excited to see you. Congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you.
Are you a
Thank you.
newlywed
We
bliss?
can do another conversation on marriage advice.
Baby, I don't know if you want marriage advice.
Starting with the grocery store, right? Starting with the grocery store list.
Lord. Yeah, marriage is an interesting little paradigm, I'll tell you, because like I think I told you this already, but like he's the person I want to take all my shit out on anyway. So I
Right.
was trying really hard from the beginning of losing Jake, like, don't become a monster to your husband because that's your natural instinct. So I've been trying to be so soft with him. But the last 2 days, I think just because I haven't been feeling well, I've been just like a total bitch. And this morning I was like, maybe today we don't act like a bitch. That would be nice. Let's be sweet today. So I'm trying. Have had very limited
Maybe you would be a little more gentle, right?
just a little bit. Because like I can tell he's got less tolerance for it right now too. So he's
100%.
he's
Because he's actively grieving.
yes. Okay,
There's
so
just
we were talking
less
about
emotional resilience.
do what?
Because he has less emotional resilience.
Yep. And he's like, everything hurts. So if you could just be nice. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be. So that's why I'm trying to eat better, because then I'll just be less bitchy in general. I just haven't felt good.
Yes.
And, it dictates a lot with a woman. And hormone shifts. I was on my period.
I was saying hormones. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Like I'm just getting off my
truly.
period. So I got to go through my first
Oh,
PMS
yikes.
cycle in deep grief. And I was like, oh.
Yikes.
And it was
Listen, I'm going through that
now.
now in not deep grief.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
a struggle. So,
PMS is so
yikes.
real. It is so
real.
So yeah,
It is
that's been part of the
100%
issue
real.
is hormones. But he'll live. We'll live. It'll be all right.
You'll get through it.
Yes. Okay, so we were talking about how one of the things that we kind of have come to in our own personal journeys on the other side of healing is gratitude and what that really looks like. I know for me, there was a time, that saying, and this is just like nails on the chalkboard still to me when I hear it in this certain voice, there's always something to be grateful for. And it was like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, oh my
Because,
gosh.
come on, right now it doesn't feel like that. But how
Right.
when you get to the other side of all that noise and profound darkness, you do become grateful for the darkness, because without that, you would never know how bright it is now. If you don't have that contrast, you can't have light without dark. And so for those experiences, I have become very grateful, because I wouldn't have had the tremendous amount of growth that I have had. And I've said this a bunch since Jake died, that I'm so grateful to the work that I've put into me over the last year and a half, because I wouldn't have survived this otherwise, and I would have destroyed what's left of my family.
Of your family. Yes. 100%.
So what are like, what I know you're really passionate about this, and one of the things that you were talking about is false gratitude versus real gratitude. And we do want to,
Yes.
audience, we are careful and acknowledging the fact that not everybody is going to be in a place to receive what we're saying fully. And we're not saying if you're in a place of profound darkness or you're still in the middle of some shit, there's always something to be grateful for. We're not saying that. We're not saying that.
Right.
But we are saying there will come a time in this journey that you will be grateful for your experiences.
Yes. The gratitude is actually a source of healing. And I want to share how I first came into gratitude because it was not me having this huge epiphany of like, oh, being blind is great. I'm so grateful for this experience and this adversity and not to have the normal teenage experience and markers. And that's just wonderful. And I'm so appreciative. That's not at all how I learned gratitude. So for me, it all started with one short conversation with a mentor. It was at the end of high school. And she said, Laura, I want you to focus on a mindset of gratitude. And I just kind of looked at her like, I don't know if you're a good mentor, but okay, I'll listen. And she said, I want you every day to start thinking about 3 people, situations, perspectives that you're grateful for. And being from the South, of course, I nodded, smiled. I said, thank you. Speaking of gratitude. But in my head, exactly what you said. I was like, "Oh my god, that's terrible advice. She's a horrible mentor. She doesn't need to be mentoring teenagers because I have nothing to be grateful for."
Mhm.
So only out of my pure Southern stubbornness, I said, "All right, I'm taking this on as a challenge to prove to her that is terrible advice." So my goal was to go back to her and say, "By the way, I've nothing to be grateful for. I'm right, you're wrong." Right? Like, just wanna show you I'm completely right and you're totally wrong.
I love
So
it.
truly, out of my stubbornness, I tried to think of things. The one day became 3 days. The 3 days became 3 weeks. The 3 weeks became 6 weeks. And what I slowly realized is she was not saying, "Be grateful for the trauma. Be grateful you became blind. Be grateful for the blindness." She was teaching me to be grateful for what helps me navigate through life.
Ooh.
So, a real world example, she was not teaching me, be grateful at the end of the day for the blindness. Rather, she was teaching me to say, it's the end of the day. And I'm so grateful that I have parents that taught me to live moment by moment than giving into my overwhelm and my panic attack.
Yeah.
So it's a total reframe of gratitude. So to circle back to your original, I share all that to circle back to your original question. What gratitude is not, is it is not using gratitude and appreciation and thankfulness to cover up our pain, to minimize our suffering, to minimize the ups and downs of life. The way I understand gratitude is a healing resource that gives us strength to recognize what we do have in the midst of life.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you're talking to someone who recently lost a child. So I'm probably never going to feel grateful for that experience, but I
And you're
can
not
be
supposed to.
grateful.
That's not the point of gratitude.
Right. But like, I am so grateful to myself for the work that I have put in because I am using all the tools that I have collected over the last year and a half. I have an awareness. I know how to walk myself through really tough moments. I'm not allowing crazy thoughts to overtake my life the way they would have a year and a half ago. Like, there's so much progress. Like, I almost feel like that year and a half prepared me for this, And I'm grateful that I listened to the call to heal and to find love and joy and receivership. Because Laura, if I hadn't, I would have been nitpicking everybody to death in their attempts to show up for me so that I could protect myself from being vulnerable. And instead,
Right.
I've learned to be vulnerable and cry on the fucking internet and cry to people that I never my closest people, I would have shoved that down. I did shove it down. And now I will cry, and there's a part of me that feels like, "Ooh, I hate if I'm making you feel uncomfortable," but I overcome that even, and that's all narratives that I was stuck in before, where now, like, those first few days especially, like, I mean, he was an 18-year-old kid, so, the world suffers when they hear about a mom suffering a loss like that, so I could feel all that love. I mean, it literally lifted me. And it would have been okay if I was a complete mess. Like, I'm not saying anyone who does this, that there's a wrong way to do it. But I wasn't. Like, I mean, obviously there was shock and trauma, obviously. But, like, I was really leaning into the love that was being sent to me
Ugh.
and peace around all of my beliefs and peace around the fact that I know I'm enough to deal with this. There's not
Right.
one part of me that says I have to die because of this, that my spirit for the love and joy I have found in this world has to die. That I want to continue more than anything the things that I have created in this little bubble that I'm in. But that I'm so grateful for. Can you imagine that broken or girl who saw herself as so broken version of me going through such a tragedy? I wouldn't have survived it, and neither would my family, period.
Literally
And I'm grateful
and
I get to be a
literally
role model.
physically.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, that and I like the distinction there because I don't have to be grateful that I lost a child, but I am thrilled to be grateful for so many other things that are getting me through this. The support, first of all, I am grateful versus nitpicking. I'm grateful that I'm allowing myself to show up imperfectly and I'm allowing Today, I want to share a book series that truly meets you where you are. Letters to Myself by Jen Taylor, LCSW, is a powerful collection written by a New York based spiritual psychotherapist with over 23 years of experience. Each volume invites you to write your way through trauma, healing, and self compassion, from sexual assault and abuse to bullying and cult recovery. These aren't just books you read, they're books you work with. If you're ready to reflect, release, and reconnect with yourself, search Letters to Myself by Jen Taylor on Amazon today, and I will also have a link in the show notes. That of others. That's a skill I learned.
Yeah, that's a huge skill that most humans never get there,
Mhm.
right? So, yeah, I just wanna 100% reiterate for every single person listening, it's not being grateful that Jake died. It's deep gratitude for the support you received in the midst of life-changing traumatic grief of
Yes.
loss. And that is exactly what gratitude is because that gave you, and you named it, a source of strength in the worst dark of times.
Yes.
That sustained you. And the other thing I really, really, really wanna highlight that is so incredibly powerful and shows how much just insight and awareness you have, and again, most people will never get here, but I want everyone to recognize that you are grateful for the work you've done. And I say that because most of us never get to that spot where we're grateful for ourselves. But you absolutely named it. I'm grateful for the work I've done. I'm grateful for the work I've done this year and a half. I'm grateful that I'm enough. That
Yes.
right there is a game changer. So I want everyone to make sure they hear that that's possible and healthy. That's not arrogant, that's not prideful, that's not ego to say I'm grateful for who I am.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that because the first time I said it, I felt all those things. I was like, "Is it wrong?
Sure.
Am I weird?" Because that was literally one of the first thoughts I had was like, "I'm so grateful to me right now." I am so grateful
That is
for every
awesome.
version of me over this last year and a half who has continued to be open to the lessons and to the healing and to tapping in to the greatest resource there is, love and joy and all of the things, which appreciation is a part of. That's what love is, because you appreciate
Yes.
every aspect of who you are, you know? But
Yes.
I felt weird. I even told a friend, like, in a text message, like, "I feel weird making this about me." That's how unaccustomed we are
Right.
to
Right. Right.
celebrating
Loving
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yes. So I really appreciate
What
that point.
so yeah, I just want everyone to hear and notice that is actually healing and okay to give ourselves permission to do that. To be grateful for who we are and who we've become and the work that we put in to life. Because valuing ourselves,
Yeah.
in my experience, that's one of the deepest sources of strength we can receive
Well, yeah,
when
because
we are
it's the whole
grateful and
idea
respect
is
for us.
that we're what when you finally overcome the narrative that you're not enough, that's what all of the negative stuff was ever stemming from anyway, was that fear that you're
Right.
not enough. What if I'm not enough?
You're
What if
not
I'm not enough? What if I'm
right.
not enough? And just feeling like no matter what, I am enough because I am born with all the worth and value that I'm ever gonna have because I'm a human and we're all that worthy and valuable. And that
Yes.
took a little bit. That took real work to get to that understanding. I mean, that was the whole point. Like now I understand that's what all this human experience really is to get to the place where you can love yourself unconditionally and tap into love and joy and be abundant in those things regardless of what's happening around you.
Yes, regardless. And you again said it perfectly, and I just wanna highlight it for all of us to learn. It's not when you have that love and joy that you're perfectly describing, it's not that you get everything in life and life is always easy.
Right.
I mean, you just went through an incredibly, they're not even words, hellish great loss. Like, they're not even words to put to the depths of grief and loss. Yet you still experience love and joy. So I just want to highlight that. I don't want anyone to hear us talking in here. Oh, if I have love and joy, life will be smooth and easy.
God knows I wish that was true. I do wish that was
Me
true.
too. Me
God, I
me
wish it
too.
was true. But yeah, I think you're so right in that the point was never for life to be perfect so that you could find love and joy. I think the
Right.
point was that you're going to experience a certain set of trial and tribulations. And can you understand that you're not at fault, that you don't have to blame anyone? You can just allow circumstances to be what they are and love yourself anyway. Because I know that we talked about this before. If you don't find that love for you, you'll never be able to receive it from others ever, ever,
Right.
ever. And
Right.
gratitude is such a big part of that receivership, and I think it does have to be a gratitude for yourself because you can't give to anyone what you're not able to extend to yourself. Not gratitude, not compassion, not love, not patience, kindness. If you're not treating yourself with those things first, you can't receive them.
Yes. I was taking a mindfulness class, and one of the exercises was to write down, I think it was 10. It was either 8 or 10. We had to complete the statement, "I'm grateful for myself because." And we had to complete that about like 8 times, fill in that sentence with 8 different characteristics, I can't even talk. Characteristics, personality, just traits about ourselves that we're grateful for. That was so hard. Oh my gosh, that was incredibly difficult. And then once we had that list, to go over it and read over it for the next week. And it was so difficult. But once I did it, I did what you described. I was able to receive gratitude for myself and then receive it from others.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's funny that you had trouble too, because I can definitely remember times in the past where I was, like, grateful to meet and it was all such superficial stuff, like, before that I'm, like, grateful that I can talk to a brick wall. Like, like, it was just
Seriously, no, I totally agree.
like, I mean, that was the stuff that I'm, like, grateful for what? And truly, like, I really needed this conversation because, I mean, the love and the receivership was so wrapped up in that, like, "Damn, and I couldn't even feel this if I hadn't done this work." And
Right.
even just, like, watching my kids' perspective change, and I was so grateful too because the first few days, a lot of Jake's friends came to spend time in his room and, share stories with us and things like that. And I was able to educate them on grief and say like, "Hey, I hear you and I'm going to honor you, but like let me just teach you a little bit about what your brain's going to be doing to you during this time." And I've my message is the same as it was before Jake died, and I wanted so badly for him to hear these words. He just couldn't he wasn't there. He still was so afraid to feel. So,
Yes.
now I get to use this situation to even impart it in a stronger way, like, "I'm telling you this is the way, the truth, and the light. So,
Mhm.
fucking follow my advice if you don't want a life of misery." And these kids were so open because in this broken moment, they were able to feel that pain and hear what I was saying, like, "No, just
Mhm.
feel this. Don't think this. Feel it. It hurts. You're allowed to hurt. Hurt as much as you want, but don't think it.
Right.
Thinking isn't gonna get you through shit."
Right.
And so,
Right.
like, I'm grateful to myself for being able to help 18-year-old children who are hurting so badly, and I'm grateful that I was in a place where I was stable and steady enough to offer
Mhm.
that.
And not only to offer it, to model it.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee as you were saying all that to them, as they're sitting in his room, you are modeling tears, you are modeling anger, you are modeling feeling exhausted beyond the point of eating, sleeping, right? So
Right.
you not only were just saying it, they were watching you actively live it out.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I've been so passionate too about doing solo episodes. Which I used to hate doing, but, again, I could talk to a brick wall and now I have something to talk about. So, I'll just be sitting in my little camera cam. But yeah, I think it's been very important to me to show me crying. For one, because I have to be okay with crying in front of other people. It's been a struggle my entire
Right.
life. And I want to be vulnerable. That's been the thing I've been searching for, 2 years is being more vulnerable. So I'm doing that, but also I'm showing people I got to show my son in real time how 'cause, the first ugly cry came probably not for about 4 days. Like, I was crying, but not the deep guttural,
The deep.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And, my son's or Jake's martial arts place had posted a tribute to him. And it was at the end of that, I fucking lost it completely. Like, it felt so good to finally, like, release
Yes.
everything. But
Yes.
my oldest son was sitting there, and I knew because I went through this with my grandma when she lost my mom. I knew that he had been sitting around waiting for the moment when I was gonna lose my shit,
Mhm.
and am I gonna come back from that? And I got
Yep.
to model in real time how you can break wide open and in 90 fucking seconds come right back to baseline
Yep.
because I wasn't feeding it with all the and now this and all the panicky shit of I'm going to have to live the rest of my life without him. Those thoughts happen and then I know what to do to take care of myself because that
Right.
is the shit that will drive you insane. I'm living very presently moment to moment, but I got to model how if you're not feeding your emotions with all this shit thought and you're just feeling the pain, in 90 seconds, I came right back and was like,
You
"Ooh,
can
that felt good." Like, "Ooh, I'm glad I got that out," Like, that I
I'm
was
exhausted
grateful
and
for
I
that.
feel better, right?
Yes, yes, and I felt so proud to be that role model for him and my daughter, like showing them like, hey, we're going to cry, we're going to talk about him as much as we want to, teaching them how to incorporate his spirit into the future. We do get to bring him in whatever capacity we want. We get to decide that. I got to model
Right.
that at Christmas, like how we want to incorporate him into the new traditions, things like that. I am proud and I am grateful for those things.
And truly, I mean, I know I said it before, but I just want to say it again. Once we can get to that place, we have the power to get through anything.
Anything. Yeah.
Because that you said it when you said well, I don't remember your exact word, but I was thinking stability, right? Like, I had the emotional grounding and stability to have that deep, deep, like, ugly cry, and like you said, in 90 seconds, be able to say, "Okay, now here's how we move forward day
Yep.
by day, moment by moment."
Yes.
And it's not that you're never gonna cry again. It's not that you're never gonna have anger again.
Mhm.
It's that you survive the depth of the pain.
Yes, because I'm enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that the gift that you're giving your your children, Jake's friends, is showing them they're enough too.
Yeah.
Again, not through your words, but through your lived experience. That's the gift of gratitude, is that even in the darkest, difficult times of life, gratitude literally sustains us.
Yeah. And I had not thought about any of that in these terms. But you're very right because that is what got me through those first, like, 72 hours was just it was bizarre, but I felt so much peace. Well, first of all, I've been living with a child who was struggling for some time. I did not know that the struggle
Right.
was as bad as it was. Intuitively, I
Right.
did because I worried about that moment so many times. The week before it
Right.
happened, I was planning his funeral in my mind,
Right.
so,
Right.
like, somewhere inside of me knew something isn't right, but I didn't know it was this
Yep.
bad, but I worried about him all the time. So that was something I was already like, struggling with. But
Sure.
so the peace that I felt at first was like, okay, I don't have to worry anymore. Like
Have
that
to worry.
we had it's here. Like it happened.
He's at rest.
Yes. So that was that, but also it's wild because now I feel so much even more free to talk about this because I feel permission, so thank you, but, like, really what did get me through those 72 hours was that gratitude for myself, like, "Melissa, can you imagine? Can you imagine what life would be like right now for you if this happened 2 years ago?" Like, literally, that was the shit that got me through those first
Yeah.
72 hours is just and then it being important, it was not a bypassing, I was not shoving
Right.
anything down for me to not experience so that I could be a role model. I was very intentional about showing I mean, I cried with those friends, not like a whole ton because I hadn't slept and, like, you have to replenish tears,
Right. Right.
but, like, um, also it was so nice because they were telling me stories I never would have heard and hearing,
Heard.
like, his impact, things like that. But I was present and I was there and I was like it was very important to me to teach everyone in my little bubble how to do this in a way that won't destroy you because I was destroyed by grief before, unprocessed grief and trauma from my other losses. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to destroy the things I'd been working so hard for over
So
the last year
hard.
and a half. I like my show. People are so surprised that I've been keeping up with it. The show means everything to me. So, yeah, I wanted to keep doing this for a lot of reasons. This is where my heart and soul lie
Heart.
is these
Yeah.
conversations. But all like, really, gratitude did sustain me those first 72 hours. It was just like, "Melissa, you're doing so good, and it's because of the work that you've done." And it's not because I wasn't being shitty to my husband sometimes or you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, whatever
Yes.
imperfections I have had, like, 3 weeks in when PMS hit and my, son and I start being agitated with one another, we were kinda, like, welcoming that even because we'd been so sweet to each And then our
That's
first little
great. That is
spat, he
so
goes, "I
real
kinda like
life.
that, it feels normal," and I was like, "Yeah, it does."
That is great. All right. I want to again highlight a word you said, and you've totally summed up everything in this this specific conversation bypass. So gratitude is not a resource to bypass our pain.
Yes.
And you said that when you said gratitude is not bypassing the depth of my grief or covering up my grief, like you said in the past of, how grief would just destroy you.
Mhm.
So again, gratitude, and you've illustrated it perfectly throughout this conversation. Gratitude didn't bypass the pain of losing Jake and Jake dying.
Right.
Gratitude has gotten you through those first 72 hours and the first month and will continue forward, not to cover up the pain, to keep you stable through the pain.
Mhm.
So I just want to make that very, very clear. We are not saying use gratitude to numb your pain, to bypass your pain.
Right.
We are saying gratitude is a healing resource that we can be proud of, even in the midst of the worst pain, any kind of difficult pain, or any kind of pain, not just difficult. I mean, any level of pain.
Yeah, and you
It
don't
is
have to
not a
be
bypass.
grateful for the same things we're grateful for even. Whatever it
Right.
is that you can source gratitude from, like, it needs to be real. So, like, if you were sitting and trying to make a list of a few things you're grateful for, don't lie to yourself. I mean,
Right.
like, even if it's, I made myself eat a bite of food when I didn't want to, or I did some stretching, or I took my vitamins today. I've been grateful for the days that I've remembered my vitamins. Like, good job, Melissa. You did something good for yourself, because a friend of mine sent me vitamins and I've been so like, most of the time I've been really consistent. There's been a couple of days I've forgotten, but I am grateful for that. But like, you can be. But we're not saying it has to be any specific thing. Maybe you're not proud of something you've done. Fuck that. Who cares? Like that, okay, then that's not on your gratitude list. Don't pretend to be proud of something if you're not. But I know there's something that you can be grateful for yourself for doing today.
100%. And a lot of times for me in the beginning, and I mean this very, very honestly, I don't mean this like, oh, I'm saying it's like a cliche. I was deeply grateful I survived the day.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, it's time to go to bed and I am still alive.
Yes.
Like the panic attacks were a little bit less today than they were yesterday. I am so deeply grateful for that.
Yes. When
And that's
I felt
equally as
less
valid,
tired, I was
right?
grateful for that. When physical
Right,
symptoms started getting better and I was like, "Oh, good, I'm not, like, in this fog," or, because I was just
right,
so tired. When I mean,
right,
I'm still not, like, great on energy, but it's so much better. I have mental, like, clarity and stuff, whereas, when I was not getting great sleep, I didn't have that. So the second a physical symptom subsided, I was grateful. I'm grateful this morning that my
grateful,
stomach doesn't hurt. Like,
right.
there are those things, and if you are tapping into the love, it's so easy to find something. Like if you're loving yourself and you're not sitting there pouring shame all over you and you have unconditional positive regard for yourself, like we talked about the things that we learned and earned through the work we've done in our last conversation. When you get there, it's easy to go, and you know what, honey, you did so good. You ate that soup instead of a fucking cheeseburger and look at or you ate something or you took your vitamin, whatever it is. Every day is not gonna look like this perfect
Right.
win of a day, you know?
Rosy day.
Yeah,
Right,
every
right,
day's not gonna look like that, but you can, at the end of the day, find one thing that you are thankful to yourself for,
right,
even if it's
right.
just allowing someone to do something for you. Like, I've had to be grateful for
Receiving
that.
help,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, because I was so grateful for to myself that when someone offered to do laundry, because of course, Laura, our washer and dryer both went out at the same
Of
time.
course,
And I was like,
of
"Oh, good,
course.
I needed that." Someone offered and I said, "Yes, please come pick up my laundry," and I also didn't force myself to socialize with them either. I was like, "I'm gonna leave it on the porch." Like,
Right,
and I did that, and I didn't feel guilty about it. I'm grateful for that because I was able to receive. I didn't put pressure on myself to perform. Yeah, that's a lot to be fucking grateful for. Because 2 years ago, me would've been like, "I'm fine, I got it, da la la la," like,
and you into washing your clothes by hand, no
yes,
joke,
or just let it
right?
pile up like the mountain, and then I
Yep,
even asked someone for, like, "Can you do some laundry for me?" Like, 'cause, of course, we're wearing the clothes, so, like, here we are again, and then I was like, "Hey, can you do some laundry for me?" I asked his best friend's mom to wash his clothes for that we wanted to bury him in. Those are
Perfect.
not things I would have done 2 years ago.
2 years
Asking people
ago.
for help, I had to do a whole fucking GoFundMe to pay for the funeral because I thought his dad had life insurance for him because he'd always carried it, but a whole job change and whatever, they, of course, were covered starting January 1st, but we didn't have life insurance. And so I had to
Oh,
start a whole GoFundMe and shit and ask for money. I wouldn't have done that 2 years ago
done
because
that.
I'd been like,
Yep.
"Somebody else needs it more," or whatever, and I was like, "Nah, bitch, you need it.
Somebody
You need it. You need it. Let's ask." And because of that, all my bills were paid for December and January too, because people went above and beyond what was asked for and sent me money directly and whatever. So, like, I am in January just not having to worry about that yet.
good.
So, like, that's nice,
Perfect.
but all because I'm willing to receive from people. Have gratitude. Like, you don't the gratitude isn't just that you have these people who are willing to help you. Honey, you've always had somebody willing, but were you willing to receive that help? I've always
Receive
had a ton
it.
of people ready and willing to help me, but because of the way I believed about myself before, and because of confirmation bias where I had to believe that nobody, loved me the way I love them, I pushed them
Right.
all away and I wouldn't have let them help me. I am so grateful that I have allowed people to step up for me because I do need it. That's fucking stupid to think I don't. I need people.
Don't. Right. Right. We all do. Like, that's
Mhm.
how we were created, to be interdependent, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, again, that goes back to self-compassion. Because you have that compassion for yourself, you can receive gratitude.
Mhm.
And it's not in a pity, "Oh, will you do my laundry? I'm so pitiful." It's
Right.
in a, "Hey, can you help me do my laundry? Like, I gotta pay for this funeral, like, help me out."
Yes.
It's in a very proactive, self-love way.
Because I'm worthy
Such
of receiving
such a
help,
right,
And
right.
also there was this moment I had, and I made a post about it on social media because it was like, I am literally feeling all of the love that I have put out into this universe
Mhm.
all of these years. I feel that coming right back at me. Like it was very sustaining because it was like I am worthy
Oh,
and valuable and I deserve this help. Whereas
I deserve it.
before
Oh,
I wouldn't have felt like I deserved any of it because I would
deserve
have just kept lying to myself to stay safe.
you woulda received the love, but not you would have received it as arm's length, right?
Mhm.
Like, "Oh, yeah, Jake's mom best friend's mom can do laundry," but, you'd, like, convince yourself of why it was okay for her to do laundry, and now you can just say, "No, I need her help,"
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like, full so that's just yeah, I mean, truly, everything you're sharing, words cannot be put to gratitude for ourself is so sustaining.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm
And
so
it's
happy that you
constantly back and forth,
Yes. Well, that's the give and take of this experience, is that
right?
you understand that everything originates from you, and I've
Yes,
been having so many variations of this one conversation about us humans doing our damnedest to make our outer world match our inner world, and that is
right,
how we create our own reality. We will do whatever it
right.
takes to make our outsides match our insides, and when you love yourself and you know that you're enough and you feel worthy, that's what your outer world is gonna reflect. It's going to reflect people who are showing up that you never expected to show up. And before, the older versions of me would have just sat and tallied who didn't show up.
Right.
And
100%.
and
Oh
I
my
mean that
gosh, you're so right.
so literally. I would have gone through the Facebook post and seen I probably would have made a list of people I knew who didn't like the post or,
Yep,
like, I did some real
yep.
self-sabotaging shit to prove to myself who all didn't love me before.
Mhm,
Whereas
mhm.
now it's
Who
like,
didn't show up at the
okay
funeral?
yeah, I mean, It's so ridiculous the things I've done to myself in the past to try to make my outer world reflect that nobody loved me the way I loved them, or that it wasn't safe to share my shit with people. That's been a really big one. I've been so grateful to myself for understanding the root of my fears, like, because I
Yes.
used to believe that well, one of the reasons I never really went to therapy was because I was like, "Well, what do they know that I don't know?" Like, what you
Oh my
know?
gosh, I love when we shared that. That was so my experience.
What do they know that
When
I
we
don't know? I mean, they're
Yeah,
dumb compared to me, and then I realized I transferred that to my friends too, and it was not
me
until
too.
they died that I recognized, "Baby, that was just fear." Like, it feels so because I started to talk, like, I was like, "No, I've never done this before, but I'm sharing because I gotta get this shit out," you know? So I was
Right.
sharing and sharing in real time, like, this crying with people and being held, and it was weird because I've never done that in my life, so I was like, "Okay, here, I wanna do this different," so I did, and I was like, "Oh, Melissa, that's what you were afraid of, though. You were so afraid to be vulnerable for people to see you as weak or whatever."
This week.
Nobody has to have a specific answer to come back to because guess what? There's nothing that anybody can say. Anyway, some people have said some things that really do help, but for the most part, but those are people who have lost children. They get it. You know what I mean? But like,
Right.
for the
Right.
most part,
Right.
there's not shit someone can say that really helps, but being there and
Right.
witnessing you and holding the space for you to just
Oh,
say
baby.
all the shit that you feel so fucking weird to say out loud, you know? Like, all these
Mhm.
just having someone not shy away from you in those dark moments,
Right.
that's all it, like, takes is to get it out.
That's all you need.
And that's why I internalized everything. I didn't understand internalization meant the absence of talking about your shit. And I'm a year
Right.
and a half deep into this, and that was a lesson I learned through grief was, oh, I was lying to myself and saying, unless they, had the perfect comeback for my pain, then I don't need to share my pain with them. And I'm just realizing the people who wanna hold you will, and you just have to get it out,
Mhm.
and then you're not stuck with it all inside. Because sometimes the
And
thoughts
then
will get loud, and that's the way if you're having trouble getting it out or getting rid of a thought, go share it with someone, and guess what? The power goes immediately. Immediately. There's no more power in those thoughts.
in those thoughts. I didn't believe that till I experienced it. But that is so true. Once you get it out and share it, it's like, oh my gosh, you held my pain. I'm good. That pain's gone. You're
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I've been dealing with that for years. All I do is
Yes.
get it out.
And it's interesting the lessons that I've gotten, like, a deeper understanding through this process because it's like I've obviously been learning these things. We've already talked about
Yes.
them before, but man, I feel like I know them so much more intimately now even
Intimate.
because I did the work and I was like, "Melissa, you know what you have to do, do it." But it's not my instinct. It's not natural for me either. I
No.
still have to talk myself through doing things because my brain still has all that shit back there that says, "Hey, if you ask, they're gonna feel, they might be overwhelmed and just be saying yes to be nice and blah." And then and my comeback to that was, "Well, that's not my responsibility to make them say no if they don't have the capacity, is it? Mm-mm, that's on them. So I'm gonna ask, and they can do what they want to do." But
They can decide their answer, right?
yes, all the lies that my brain like, I'm grateful, literally so grateful to be able to see in real time what a fucking liar my brain is. Like, I've seen
Mhm.
it in all that, like, old talk, we even talked about it, like, the narratives that we have identified
Yes.
from our past selves, but to see it in real time, yes, I'm grateful, and yes, that has provided me stability and healing and love
Yes.
and joy to be like, "Damn, I learned something new even in the darkest times."
And have you found that you're, because I remember we talked a lot about this before, that's why I'm bringing it up. Have you found that you're grateful that in this experience, you don't have to put on that mask of, "I'm fine.
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes.
This is difficult. My son just died, but I'm all good."
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that was the old you and me,
It's a
right? Like,
weird
we
paradigm
went through hell
because
and act like everything was great.
yes, and I feel like I'm being really open about what's hard on the hard days and things like that, but it's very there's a lot of duality and nuance there because for me personally, I feel like being so open about my gratitude for myself and the tools that I'm using to get through this and how I do know I'm doing 1,000% better than I would have done. I do feel this I've gotten some responses to that are like, I think they think I'm doing that. Like I'm wearing a mask or,
Oh,
that I'm saying I'm better than I really am.
they
Or
actually
even
are.
you think you're doing this well, but wait till this comes. Like wait till this marker comes, whatever. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying I'm not gonna have a nervous breakdown 2 weeks. Who knows? But right here, right
Right.
now, I am okay. I'm as okay as a person can be going through such a tragedy. I'm doing the best
And
I
that's
can be.
because you've done the work.
Mhm.
And that just immediately makes you think about, yeah, someone said that exact same thing to my mom in the midst of when I'm going blind. They were like, I don't think you're grieving properly because you seem at peace. And her exact response was your response. I've done so much work, so much spiritual work, so much therapy. I can have both. I can have peace and I can, sob on the way home from work today,
Yes.
right? Like, so it's not, yeah. I mean, just because you're saying I'm okay now doesn't mean you're masking the pain.
Right, and just because
Both can
I
be
have the
true.
energy to have a conversation in one moment doesn't mean that 2 hours later, I'm not
Right.
a weeping mess, like,
Right.
I'm crying as
And
much
that's
as anyone.
all, yeah, and that's all healing. That's all good.
Yes, and just
So
not
it's like there's
assigning
this,
any negative beliefs or meanings to anything, allowing things to
right.
happen naturally, trying not to be so resistant because that's our big thing, resisting shit, but
Yes, we're the
yeah,
queens of that.
I think the gratitude in not wearing the mask really lies in the relief I feel when I don't. Like, I'm able to just share how I'm feeling, and it feels so much better so
Feels
quickly
better.
that, yes,
Yeah.
there's so much gratitude in not wearing the mask because I don't know that I would've I don't know that I would have pretended to be fine, but I think I would have been a really miserable person to even interact
Yes.
with, you know
To
what I mean?
interact with.
Because I think I
Yes,
would have
definitely.
been really in pity land.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's where I would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that doesn't and I am not hating or judging anyone who's living in that place, but for me personally, I was a really miserable place when I was the victim of my circumstances, and
Mhm.
I don't feel like a victim here. I have some really strong spiritual principles that don't lead me to believe that
Right.
suffering is for no reason, and I am
Right.
actively choosing not to suffer. I am hurting, but I am not suffering, and I think that's
Right.
the difference. Suffering really is born from that victimhood, and I
Yes.
don't believe that things happen for no reason. I don't
Right.
I don't mean that in the cliche, "Everything happens for a reason." I'm not saying that to anyone, but for me personally, my spiritual beliefs really do sustain me as a human, and I know that we as humans do not encounter tragedies like this if there was not some bigger design. So that
Right.
helps me, and, I don't feel like this is happening to me
To
specifically, you know? So
1000%.
I don't feel like a
Yeah.
victim here. I
Right.
feel a lot of things, but I'm not, like, sitting around just feeling like some greater being than me is punishing me for something like I
Right.
used to, you know what I
Teaching you a
mean?
lesson to learn from.
Yes, yeah, and
Yeah.
that was what I operated from before, is that I wasn't deserving of good things and or worthy, and when you're full of that love and worth and joy and value for you, it's so much easier to just be like, "This is just a really fucking terrible thing that happened in my life," and I will see the design at some point, and again, I don't have to be grateful for shit that in terms of my
Right.
kid dying, but
And you never ever will.
right,
I mean, if you do, that's just not healthy,
right,
right?
I mean, again, I think you'd be leaning towards bypassing at that point because
Right.
our
Right.
selfish
Right.
human, just like when people want it, no one said this to me, so let me make that clear. But I know that a lot of the grief moms I see on TikTok talk about people telling them their babies are in a better place. And I'm like,
Or another angel in heaven. How about
uh-huh.
that one?
And it's like, yeah, you don't understand a selfish human desire of, well, I don't really fucking care what's good for that child. I'd rather them be here with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
because in my mind, well, now I know what I know. So, I could just fix everything. So, like, you
Right.
can't tell me, like, there's a better whatever. I'm so glad that no one's, if someone has said it to me, it went in one ear and out the other.
Okay, good. Perfect.
I don't know if anyone has said that. I don't think they have, but I do know some people say that, and I know that people said that about my other losses. I think people try to be a little more tender with you know child loss,
Kids.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, also, I've spent so many years educating people online about grief and what not to say and shit. But in this way, I have very much been intentional about taking things from people in the spirit in which they intend them and not
Good.
at face value, not like,
The actual words.
because what I know is that we are a grief-phobic society, and people are not good at sitting in their own pain that comes up when they watch somebody else in pain, and they don't know how to hold that, and so they're trying to make me feel better by some of the things that they say, and what I say to myself in those moments is, "And that is love, and I will receive the love that you are giving in that moment," instead of focusing so much on, like, "You don't know how to support me," because that was all just lies that my brain told me so that I didn't share my shit with people.
Right. 1000%. And that all circles back to you would not be able to focus on that intent, their intent behind the words, if you do not have gratitude and appreciation for yourself.
Yep.
Because you recognize the intent in yourself. I'm not perfect,
Yes.
but I sure damn am trying, right? Like, not trying to be
Yes.
perfect, just trying to receive that love and that joy so you can see the intent in others.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right, because before, that was the way I viewed myself. If I can't be perfect, I'm worthless.
Worthless. It was one extreme or the other, right? It's
Yes,
perfection
that's
or
that
worthless.
all or nothing bullshit that we're trained
Right,
to be in once you've
right,
survived any sort of
right.
trauma. But yes, and I haven't really framed it in that way around this specific thing. So again, thank you, because yeah, I am allowing people to show up imperfectly because I allow that of myself. Like, yeah, people have said stuff. They haven't said that thing of, angels and all that shit. They've said stuff and I've been like, and you love me. I will take that love and I will
Exactly.
go.
And the intent is love. The
Yes.
intent is to support. That's what I always
Yes,
tell
and that's
myself.
all
The
they
intent
want.
is support.
Yes, and I don't have to. I made a very intentional choice that I was not gonna. I know my brain, and I know it very much wants to latch on to anything it can to hold on to anger and resentment,
Yes.
because those are the things that it's so accustomed to dealing with, and it gives you a sense of
Yes.
control. So I was like, "We will
Control.
not do that. We will not do that. I'm not gonna get pissed off at everyone in my life the way I have my entire life. I'm gonna go, hey,
Before.
that probably wasn't the perfect thing to say, but there really isn't a perfect thing to say, so I love
Right.
you. I love you and
Right.
I appreciate you, because
And that
I do genuinely appreciate the effort. People still checking in, because in the way that we live, you get about 2 weeks, and so, like, a month later, the people who are still like, "Are you okay?" I appreciate them, and I'm not mad at the people who aren't. I'm not gonna waste
who
my
aren't.
time.
Right. Right.
I understand why, and it's not about me, because I am worthy to be checked on, and the people meant to be in this season of my life are gonna be in this season of my life.
And again, it's all intent. Those people in the first 2 weeks that were there and not here now, they're not trying to hurt you or not
Right.
support you. They just don't know to continue to support you.
Right, they don't know what
So
this is like, so they don't know that
right.
it's every minute of every day you're experiencing
Right.
some thought, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
They
I'm not
think
mad at any
the
of
chicken
them.
pot pie 2 weeks ago was enough.
Right, well, also, people can only hold their own pain for someone
Right.
else for so long.
Right.
And
Right.
also, the world is suffering at large, so, like, I'm not the
Right.
only one going through shit, you know?
Right. 1000%.
So, yeah, you're so right.
1000%.
I am honestly, not to be, like, cliche, I'm grateful for this conversation because it really did help me to reframe some things and to give me more
In a world where judgment quietly shapes how we see ourselves, therapist and author Jen Taylor, LCSW, invites us into something gentler. With over 25 years as a New York based spiritual psychotherapist, Jen blends psychology, spirituality, and astrology to help women, teens, and LGBTQIA individuals find their way back to self worth. In Volume 7 of the Letters to Myself, Jen explores how self judgment becomes our harshest critic and how compassion can become our greatest healer. And for families navigating loss, her children's book, Melvin and His Magical Star, offers a tender story about grief, love, and the truth that love never disappears. Find hope, healing, and gentle guidance with Jen Taylor. I will have links for her in the show notes.
Permission, like I said, to say those
Permission.
things, because I did feel weird whenever I first said, like, "I'm so grateful for myself right now." It felt weird and wrong.
It feels arrogant, right?
Yes.
Like, it feels like I figured this life out and no one else has.
Right.
Right? It feels so arrogant. So, yeah, permission is what you and I are giving to every single person listening. Like, hear us and give yourself that permission to be grateful for the person you are.
Yes. 'Cause you're
Because
perfect
when we give
exactly
ourselves
who you
that
are, man.
permission, yeah, it takes that resentment away.
Yes. Resentment only happens when you self-abandon. So,
Yes.
cling
Ooh,
to who
whoa,
you
okay, say
are.
that again, say that again. I need to hear that again. We all need to hear that again. Say that again.
Resentment comes when you self-abandon. That's the only place it's born from. So, when you
Mhm.
cling to who you are and you love yourself and you have that unconditional positive regard, allow yourself to show up imperfectly because it's never going to be perfect. The most perfect thing about you is the fact that you're never going to be perfect. You're doing exactly
Mhm.
right. Every time you make a mistake, you're living within the literal human design, which is to be imperfect, because it's the only way you're ever going to learn too. But even when
Learn.
you learn, you're not going to be perfect. I do
That's
it
not the
wrong all the
goal.
time. And I'm over here feeling so grateful for myself, but the gratitude really comes from how fucking hard it still is to do the things.
Right,
That's
right,
why I'm so grateful, cuz equally grateful to equally how hard it is for me to ask for help still.
right,
I do it.
right.
I do it though. And
You
then I
do
go,
it.
"Good job, Melissa." And so
And
I'm not perfect. I'm never gonna be perfect, but I accepted that, about 6 months ago. It finally hit, like, "Okay, honey, you're gonna get so much more wrong in life, and this is what we're gonna do when we do that. We're gonna love the shit out of ourselves anyway."
yep. And that's not even our focus. That doesn't need to be our focus of
Right.
perfection, right? Perfection doesn't need to be the
Not
focus.
at all, but trauma tells us that it does, and
Right,
all
right.
those
We're only
protective
healed if we're
layers.
perfect. I mean, we
Yes.
only reach healing when we're perfect, when we're perfection.
Mhm. Yes.
So
There's no
thank you for saying
destination.
about resentment because that is this whole conversation about not resenting ourselves, loving ourselves so we can appreciate what supports us through life.
Yes. Yeah, because you can't receive in the way that you could when you're not loving yourself, feeling worthy of the receive. Like, if
Right.
you don't love yourself, you will never be able to feel how much other people love you. That is the
Yes.
God's honest truth, because I walked around really believing people didn't love me. And when I started to love myself, I felt love for the first time in my life at
Yes.
45 years old.
Yes. I completely agree. Because again, it circles back to that mask. Just based on our first conversation, you and I feel like we've got to have on the mask to take care of everyone else.
Yep,
So it's like
absolutely.
this weird, like savior complex thing,
Ugh, yes. Well, it's
you
all it's
know?
all an avoidant tactic so that we don't have to look at ourselves or feel our pain
Right.
or whatever. We get to just avoid, avoid,
Right.
avoid, and beg people to love us through the actions of loving them in all the wrong ways, let's be real. All the wrong ways. So,
Bypassing our pain.
yes, absolutely. I mean, that was all that ever was for me, and now being able to sit in discomfort gets me so much further than trying to earn the love and approval of others. And guess what? Now I just
Of
get
others.
it. Now I just am able to have their love and approval because they just see me for who I am.
Because you're you, not because 'cause you're perfect, just because 'cause
Right.
you're you.
Right. Absolutely. And I know we touched on the last time how our deepest, darkest thoughts were, if you really knew me, you wouldn't say those nice
Right.
things. And now I don't have
Right.
to worry that they love the real me or not. I know they do. If they're in this,
Right.
season of my life and they're saying I love you, they know me. I'm saying the real shit out
They
loud.
know
So
you.
they know me. They
Right.
know me very
Right.
well. They know
They
that
know
I'm
you.
okay with
Yeah.
being a bitch sometimes. They know all the things about
Right.
me. All the things that I thought I
Right.
had to hide.
And they still know you're enough.
Yes. Because
And
I
so
know I'm
that
enough.
shows them. Right. That shows them they are enough.
Yeah, and I think when you know you're enough and you preach these types of things so often, the people around you, they no longer have to worry because this is a real thing. People who have experienced trauma and are living in perfectionism, you do worry so much about other people judging you or whatever. No one in my life, I believe this. I don't believe that they sit around worrying that I am sitting in judgment of them anymore because I'm not. Because I'm not sitting around
Right.
judging the shit out of myself anymore.
Right. 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 They just get that through your energy, through your presence. You don't
Yes.
come across with a judgmental, like, she's sizing me up. It's
Yes.
just she's just present in this life thing with me.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Laura, I've had such a beautiful time with you today. I just appreciate you so much. And I'm so glad this is the topic that you brought because I certainly needed it. And I'm in a really happy mood. So I just appreciate you so much.
Was a gift. It was such a gift to me. And that's, again, I'm not saying this is cliche. I mean this deeply. And we certainly didn't plan this out. That's the gift of connecting with others. That as we share a real life experience with each other, the synergy just happens.
Yeah.
That we both learn so much. We both gain so much strength just by being in conversation and being real and honest with each other.
Yes. Yeah. That's another thing I'm grateful for. Just connection and community.
Connection. Yeah.
Well, do you want to remind people? I of course will re-include all of your stuff, and I'll link our first episode in the show notes. But do you want to remind people where they can find you?
So, yes, the best place is laurabratton.com. So, my website has all the information to connect, to email me, to connect on LinkedIn, my speaking, coaching, book. It's all there on the website.
Awesome. Okay, I'll make sure I include that. Well, thank you so much. I've had such a wonderful time, and I'm sure that this is not the last time we will talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to press stop. Hang out for a sec.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelisahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.